In looking at a pair of about $50,000 crossovers, I decided to pick the Toyota Venza Limited. Renita, what do you have?
I have here the 2021 Hyundai Santa Fe. It's the ultimate calligraphy top trim. I actually really like this one. I didn't think I would like it as much as I do. It's got a ton of space. What do you think, Brian?
Well, I agree. It's a great family vehicle. As a baby boomer and an empty nester, I find the Venza and its hybrid powertrain very interesting. It seems to suit my lifestyle, which is rather different from yours, Renita.
Well, I'm a millennial mom. I have 3 little kids, and as much as a hybrid powertrain sounds amazing and I'd save a lot of money, which I need for diapers, the Santa Fe has so much more space for me. And I love that I can fit all 3 car seats right beside each other, which is not something you can do in smaller SUVs. So we've got different requirements, Brian, but let's find out which one of these is going to be the better option.
So what we have is a pair of almost $50,000 crossovers. So they're close enough to $50,000 crossovers that we can call them mid-price, 2-row, $50,000 crossovers. But why don't you explain the calligraphy a little better? Both
of these are pretty small crossovers, but the reason I love the calligraphy is because it's got a lot more space. Of course, the hybrid saves a lot of money. The problem is, or not problem, otherwise the better version of this might be the hybrid version, which is also a couple thousand less than the hybrid version of the Venza. You may not get all the top calligraphy features, but you still get the hybrid train and you're saving money on gas. I was first of all drawn to the looks of the Santa Fe. I mean, aside from the color that's nice and vibrant, I love the more boxy look of it. It's got a lot more space. It looks a lot bigger than the Venza, even though it's not a ton bigger, but it is taller, a little bit wider. What do you think, Brian?
I agree. For a family vehicle, the Santa Fe has definite advantages. The Venza is smaller inside. It doesn't have the passenger room. It doesn't have the cargo room. You're going to have to work a little harder to really like the Venza. Fortunately, I really like the styling. I agree to the extent that this is a nice looking conventional crossover. Hyundai has changed up the Santa Fe's front end, the rear end, brand new interior. It's on a new platform, the same platform as the Sorento. Matter of fact, it's more than just a refresh. It is almost a brand new vehicle.
From a mom perspective, I like the Santa Fe because it's a lot bigger on the inside. I like all the buttons on the front and the cabin. It's really easy to get to when someone's screaming at the back of you. It's like if they're hot, you just flick a button. You don't have to look around on the touch screen. I know your kid's a little older, Brian, but how do you compare it?
They're both 2-row SUVs. I'm tall, I'm kind of leggy. I look for rear seat legroom. And I found actually both of the vehicles, legroom isn't bad. I really like the back seats in both these vehicles. I find that I can sit in the back seat of both these vehicles and not have my knees up around my ears. Is there a limo-like comfort? No, but it's more than acceptable. The engine puts out 277 horsepower, not necessarily class leading, but there's more than enough mid-range, there's more than enough passing power for 4-cylinder. It's very smooth and well suited to the car.
As for driving experience, I think the Santa Fe is a little bit of a smoother ride than the Venza. I'm not sure what you think, Brian, but I do love that there's the different modes in the Santa Fe. You can switch it to eco if you want. To me, it doesn't change a whole lot, but you've got the different modes. There's comfort and sport as well. What do you think, Brian?
I have to admit, I like the easy power of the 2.5-liter turbo engine. 277 horsepower, more than 300 pound-feet of torque. It has excellent mid-range and it's very smooth and ideally suited to the car. So the Venza's powertrain consists of a 2.5-liter 4-cylinder engine and 3 electric motors. The engine and 2 of the electric motors power the front wheels, 1 electric motor powers the rear, hence all-wheel drive. The whole system, total system output is 219 horsepower, which might not seem like a lot for something that weighs about 3,800 pounds, and it really isn't. But of course, you have the torque curve of an electric motor, which is maximum torque at 0 RPM. So this hauls. Not necessarily to 100 kilometers an hour, but certainly in traffic, 60, 70 kilometers an hour, this thing has some urge. Is it as smooth and nice and quiet as this 2.5-liter turbo engine in the Santa Fe? No, but it's an acceptable compromise, I think, because you get much better fuel economy.
So Brian just talked about hauling butt, but what about hauling cargo? In the back of the Santa Fe, you've got a ton of space, so much space that even though I didn't really need to, I could fit my 2-year-old stroller in it without closing it. It's so big, even without the back seats down. We went out for ice cream recently and I just let the kids sit in the back seat and they all just had ice cream in there. So like, it's got that much space. What about the Venza, Brian?
I don't have 3 kids to haul around. And I eat my ice cream from the front seat, but you definitely have more room in the Santa Fe. The Venza is tighter in dimensions. You have less cargo capacity, you have less passenger room. It's more of a, I don't want to say it's not designed for families, but it's designed for more compact families. Now, in terms of content, again, I have to hand it to the Santa Fe. There's an embarrassment of content, creature comforts, technology, safety, the whole bit. Not that the Venza is particularly deficient, but with the new Calligraphy edition, Hyundai has raised the game. It's almost a luxury vehicle. I mean, great sound system, heating, ventilated seats, head-up display, it just goes on. Safety, technology, creature comforts, good graphics from the touchscreen. The Venza actually has a better touchscreen, I think. I like the graphics even better. But other than that, it pales a bit in comparison with the Calligraphy edition. We're getting to a point where we really have to narrow down what we like. I really like the Santa Fe, but for my own personal use, I have to pick the Venza. Well, it's kind of embarrassing in some ways, but I've been road testing vehicles for 40 years. I have burned up a lot of gasoline. Having a vehicle with a hybrid powertrain is an easy penance. The thing about hybrids is that you can just get in and drive them. You don't have to think about it, and yet you get so much better fuel economy. And frankly, I don't have any grandkids yet. It's just my wife and I. We don't need all the extra space.
I think you're right, Brian. And the thing is, I think technically, logically, the right answer for me should be the Venza. It would save a lot of money based on that hybrid powertrain. But I actually really like the space in the Santa Fe, and I'm not willing to give up the space, especially with 3 kids who are only growing. I think the Santa Fe has got my pick. Going off of what Brian said, the Santa Fe does have a ton of amazing features. What it doesn't have is rear seat entertainment for the kids. Neither does the Venza, but to be completely honest, I don't mind. There's so many other things in here. There's so many great things in the Santa Fe that it doesn't really need rear seat entertainment. And really, we never had that when we were kids. Our kids should be able to sit in a car without watching TV for half an hour.
So, in essence, a family-friendly, kid-friendly SUV, and here, not so family-friendly, but much more efficient crossover. For Driving.ca, I'm Brian Harper.
For Driving.ca, I'm Renita Narain. For more SUV reviews and information, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Twitter.